giving you a voice.
Making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
Want to be our boss? Tell us what we're worth and have a say in how our shows are ran? Visit our Patreon to pledge your support at patreon.com/funfrc.
All right, so let's jump right into our next discussion for the evening, the 2019 event schedule. It's happening already. Oh my God. So we'll be talking more about this on FRC Recap in a couple weeks, but since the events are starting to shape up and we have a good range of people from different regions, let's focus on the areas for now, those areas for now. And we have some discussions that may impact different district areas or different areas in general. So Adrian, we talked about Texas, but are there any events that you may miss this year or are really looking forward to in Texas?
I mean, I don't know that I'm going to miss any events specifically in Texas. I think I'm just going to miss thinking about, where else we could go and what other teams we could see. Like we had that awesome 2014 like thing with Citrus Circuits at 118 and it was so much fun. So I think I'm going to miss the opportunities like that, but I'm looking forward to districts. I think I'm looking forward to seeing where we can go outside of Dallas. I think we're pretty committed to going to at least one outside of Dallas. So I'm just looking forward to getting to know Texas teams better. I think schedule. We had such an issue with scheduling last year that I'm hoping that this is a little bit, districts is a little bit of a reprieve, and that the process is just much less stressful. I don't know. It's just kind of hard to think about since so many things are changing all at once.
And where's the state championship going to be held?
It's going to be in Austin, which is really exciting. We love Austin. It's not as far away from us as other metropolitan areas in Texas. So I think that should be a really fun event. I mean, Texas has some really, really great teams. And I think that having to qualify for that district event is going to make it super competitive. We've seen a preview at what's called the UIL state championship, which happens in May the past couple of years. But now the district championship and the UIL championship are the same event. And it's just going to be during week 6. So I'm probably most excited about that event because the UIL state champs is always been. I hope that 3310 and 118 don't beat us again like they have the past 2 years. But besides that, it should be great.
I'm looking forward to seeing that event too. So Brendan, why don't you tell us how New England districts are shaping up and what events are the Neutrons looking forward to this year and, each year in general?
Yeah, the New England schedule isn't out yet. I don't know exactly where things are going to fall. We have our district event tends to fall in the last couple of weeks of the season. New England is North champs. So that means we'll have our district champs week 7, which means we get the full 6 weeks we can use. I imagine we will use all of them. So, aside from that, every year we try to go somewhere as a team. That's kind of, coming full circle back. That was a huge part of the first experience for me. So it's something I work really hard with our team to try to make happen every year where we can go somewhere and meet new people and see new places. So our ability to do that is really compromised by the district system and all that stuff, which, that's just something we have to deal with. We tend to shoot for earlier events, but we're open to anywhere, and we generally like to go somewhere warm. So we'd love to make it out to California. It'll never happen because California is too full. I'd love for it to, but it's just it's never going to happen. We went to Palmetto last year. It was amazing. We had a great time there. We definitely look forward to going back there. We always look towards Florida as well. So any one of those things is a possibility. And we usually have to create, 20 possible schedules for us to follow and hope that we get one of them and be ready to react for any of them. So that's just all part of the scheduling process and the fun every year.
Yeah, it's a good time having the, pre-registration strategy meeting. That's literally like a actual event strategy meeting. So Connor McBride from 166 wants to know, is New England adding any more events this year? It's a great question.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but yes, we are.
And no, we don't know where the district championship is going to be because
I don't think anyone knows.
No. Yeah.
But
All
yes,
right.
there'll be more New England events. So good job, New England. We're getting bigger.
Slightly. Don't get too enthusiastic about it. It's not that many more events. So, and Mike, everybody brace yourself for Mike's response to this. So I know, talking ahead of time, that there's a bit of a cluster, insert explicit here, in California and surrounding regions for regionals for events this year. So why don't you fill us in on that? Because I would love to hear it all over again.
Oh my goodness. Well, actually, so when this topic was posted, I actually got a message from one of my buddies that's in the mountain region, which is basically pretty much everything east of California and the PNW area up until you hit Texas and Kansas and stuff like that. That's kind of all the mountain area. And he was just sharing how their schedule started to shift up a little bit more, and it's even worse than it was last year. All their events have been posted pretty much, and what they're looking at is they have Arizona North, which was week 2 last year, and now it's week 3, and then they have Colorado week 4, and then they have Utah and Idaho and and Las Vegas week 5, and then they have Colorado Rockies week 6, and Arizona West week 6. So pretty much 5 out of 7 of their events that are in the whole mountain area are packed into 2 weeks. And really what this comes down to is first, as headquarters, who is the boss of all their regional directors, has not done a very good job dictating what the schedule should be. And what that's allowed for is regional directors to really just go rogue and plan out whatever they want to plan out as far as their regional schedule. And so what that means is specifically Idaho and Utah are probably 2 of the closest regional events to each other, that a lot of mountain teams would possibly do both of those. And a lot did last year because they were weeks 1 and week 5. And now that's not an option because they're the same week this coming season. And that's a big bummer for us too in California, because what I've heard through the grapevine is, well, actually it's officially posted that SVR is week 5. And it looks like Aerospace Valley Regional is going to be week 6, which is a new regional that started last year. But it looks like if everything shakes out like it did last year, and what I'm hearing so far, that there will be no week 1 events west of the Mississippi, except for districts. So no regionals in week 1 west of the Mississippi in the entire, United States, North America. And I mean,
that's not good.
It's baffling. It's baffling because also all of those regional teams are going to Houston week 8. So every regional team west of the Mississippi, their season is 7 weeks long because everyone is doing no week 1 events, and then we all have to go to a week 8 championship. It's baffling to me that their scheduling could be that poor, and it's baffling that everybody west of the Mississippi is avoiding week 1 at this point. It really limits the options for teams like ours that want to try to compete at the same level that teams coming out of a district do. So to do that, we have to compete 3 times, and it really closes the options down for us. I've talked about this before, but our team experience is really going downhill ever since our team has grown. We started out pretty terrible. I mean, I joined the team in 2009. We didn't win our first Blue Banner until 2011. And then we won Eisenstein with Adrian in 2013, and we've been growing. And we got to the point where we were going to 3 events every year in California. And then 2016 was the last year that was possible. And now we've been doing 2 events in California and having to go out of state, including going to Utah, which is a long drive, if anyone was keeping track, last year. And now it looks like that's not even going to be an option. And I'm not sure what we're going to do this year to try to get 3 plays before championship. It's really getting hard. And our regional directors' inability to communicate with each other and plan things out is hurting the teams who are trying to play and schedule events. So I'm really interested to see how it's going to shape out this year. But I think for mountain teams, especially, it's going to be really hard. And even for California teams like ours, especially if you're trying to get a 3rd play, it's nearly impossible now. So I'm not really sure what everyone's thinking on the planning side, but it's just not good.
It's a hard puzzle. Having been involved in New England planning, it for 10, 11 events, it's a hard puzzle to put together. It's an even more complex puzzle for the whole, entire first conglomerate. But someone needs to do it. It doesn't mean we can't, strategize on it. So yeah, that is rough.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't get to too, sorry, I've been talking a lot, but that's one thing that districts have that regional teams don't have, is they have a board and an advocate that's advocating for the whole area, where teams that fall in that bubble know that someone's going to bat for them and is going to make sure that the schedule, as best as possible, is spread out and has events weeks 1 through whenever they can continue to have events before their DCMP. And regional teams don't have that luxury. Every regional director is really out for themselves and out to schedule their own event, and they're not talking to each other. And that's at the detriment of the teams in their area. And that's one thing that districts really have going for it that regional teams don't, is regional teams don't have an advocate that can really help make their experience the best it can be.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that. So with districts, like, yes, we have a group of people who are, scheduling these things within their territory. So we have, a regional director for Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. But at the same time, like, we're in New England, at least because of some of the venue constraints, we are like running events that are literally within a 20 to 30 minute radius of each other. Like, I think it was 2 years ago, the Greater Boston district, we were in Revere, and then, North Shore was the same weekend. So we're stealing each other's like key volunteers and the teams like within that region. So it's obviously not to the extent that, the mountain area is getting right now, but it's totally hit or miss every season, at least in New England, where, geographically you're not sure what events are going to land on what weekends. So it's definitely a tricky schedule. Like, I agree that there should be somebody that's kind of overseeing the non-district kind of scheduling of things, because teams are just getting screwed every year. And I can't even imagine being a lead mentor for a regional team at this point, especially in your region where it is so competitive to get into events. So we're going to move on now that we've had that really, intense ending to that topic. So with that talk of events, we've seen more events recently shift to having their 2 main competition days on Saturdays and Sundays versus Friday and Saturday. So have any of you been to a Saturday, Sunday event? And do you find this to have any advantages for your team versus traditional Friday, Saturday events? So Brenda, we've been to plenty of Saturday, Sunday events in New England. We've hosted them as well. So why don't you talk about how that's panned out in the New England district?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday events are, I think it's a mixed bag. It's mostly great for kids missing school. It's super great for people who are involved with teams or are really hardcore dedicated volunteers that want to be there, are going to give up their weekend anyway, because obviously you don't need to take as much time off of work or whatever else you have going on. It's not great for getting people outside like the first umbrella involved, in my experience, and it's something that New England's been dealing with more and more, is recruiting, particularly like the judge type volunteer, is a lot harder to do on a Saturday, Sunday event. People book their weekends, far in advance. They don't want to give up 2 full days over the entire weekend and be back at work on Monday volunteering. And that's not to say these people are, selfish or whatever, but it's a lot to ask of somebody. So, and with a movement for people and companies now giving volunteer time to employees, there's an opportunity now where they could actually use a volunteer day to go volunteer somewhere, and it may actually be better for them to do that personally. So overall, I really enjoy them. Going back to work Monday is awful. Going back to school on Monday for the kids is awful. There's no way to sugarcoat that. I'm kind of a grinder. Like I just kind of get through it, extra few cups of coffee and whatever. But I know other people, it's not that easy. So I totally get why there's adverseness to it. However, it does allow us as a team personally to attend more events and to get more involved and to volunteer at other events on other weekends. So it does allow us to get more engaged and more involved inside our own tent, but trying to pull people inside that tent now becomes a harder task.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how other districts kind of either embrace that or don't. So